right, everybody. Thanks for checking it out here on Crash Command Games. This is not going to be Cast of Commotion. It's going to be my first video. Really? I just got a bunch of product and I wanted to do some opening. Turn this down. Let's see. If I turn that down, hopefully the packaging sound isn't unbearable. This is largely just a box opening, right? I'm not entirely done. I'm not entirely done with my Dynasty collection yet, but you know, let's still gonna be new at that for a while. I'm not entirely done with the Dynasty collection yet. Still need some nitromechanoids. I need surgical extractions, just the stuff that are just insanely difficult to get. I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna end up getting all my surgical extractions when I go to Dusk Till Dawn. But for now, I thought we'd have a little bit of fun and open up some of the outsiders that I got. I'm going to be opening up a lot of this. It's a really cool product. I really wish I saved one of the boxes we opened last night because that one had a cold foil plague hive in it. Not really cool to not capture that. So I decided I have two cameras now. I don't like the one as much, right? It's not the best of quality. You can still kind of read everything. It's not bad at all. It's just, I want to give a certain production quality, but for now, this will just have to work. All right. So let's go ahead and pop this open. Out of outsiders, I really do need everything, but I'm obviously looking to crack the Marvels because there's, unlike Dynasty where there's 4,000 of them, this only has a couple. And this is also to kind of experiment with what does cracking packs sound like? Sorry. What does cracking packs sound like on this setup? I'm going to be messing with the gain throughout a little bit. Growing pains of making your first video. Hopefully that's not just god-awful. Bye. So let's see if I can position this correct. I just don't want to give you guys plosives, and I was just talking about how I was working on my mic technique. But yeah, a lot of these cards are super awesome. Like Infect is just so... It has won me drafts, right? All of these cards are very useful. I know some people think that not every card has its place, but not only does every card have its place in draft, sealed, and otherwise, but this was actually a pretty sick pack. Both of these cards are going to be super usable in the future. I'm starting to see Virulent Touch come a lot in Blitz with Riptide and all of his formulations. Infectious Host I've seen jump in and out of Fi and other aggro decks just as a return the favor. Or Bitaclast, obviously. Probably not the most useful of the daggers, but obviously if you have a wizard heavy meta, super good, and Spike with Frailty just looks good to go, right? So typically I would sort these as, well, I probably could, right? Here, what do we got here? 129, 60, 129, 66, 24. So that's the first set. Generics. And then from there, you could probably just hang out and watch as I sort some cards. I guess they're not all going to be visible after they've been cracked, but you'll still get to kind of hang out and watch. I think Assassin Ranger comes second. Assassin Ranger generic, Assassin foil, and then some tokens. This set's obviously famous for putting Azuri onto the scene. She's just scary. She's just scary to come across. Since I've already opened up quite a bit of this set, I'm not looking to romanticize about the cards too often, right? We're just going to maybe start quick sorting as we go. Cut that. Seekers. Oh yeah, generic. Short and sharp. As you may be aware from my boy over here, the traps, I want these to work out. I feel like every time I bust out Riptide, I don't know if it's me getting better with him. I don't know if my meta is just shifting into a more Riptide friendly environment. or even online. Like I perfected a Dorinthia not too long ago, and it's just, if that's going to be the case, and Riptide is good against warriors and can do some really tricky things to put defense reactions in against dominated guardian attacks and all of that, I'm pretty sure Riptide is on his way. I am pretty sure Riptide is on his way. They just printed out, was it Reel In? I don't have a lot of faith in that card, right? Digging out a bunch of traps is funny. It's cool, right? But overall, the attack has to not have dominate. You have to draw the traps that trigger the stuff. I feel like the key is gonna be tricking your opponent into turning on your trap. So like Intoxicating Shot, I feel like that's much more in line with what God, I love this card. I love Sneak Attack. I absolutely love that card. The blue one is one of my favorites when you're drafting the Outsider set, because you catch this with Fleetfoot Sandals and you just present an unassuming Fleetfoot Sandals play with a blue Sneak Attack. Like it's just one, and if they're not paying attention, they get sucker punched with 5 damage, and then you have Go Again, and Azuri can just start really opening up on you. She is so cool looking. So what I was saying about Riptide is, I think it is not how many things can we help traps with, it's how many ways can we turn traps on, right? That's obviously what we're looking for. If it was up to me, you'd see multiple arrows coming out that give your opponents bonuses, because none of the aggro rangers will like that. You're not going to see Azalea trying to give somebody a Quicken token or them a Courage token or something. But Riptide is definitely the more cunning type, where he would try to trap you in with that kind of stuff. Azalea is more of a, you're not paying attention, so you're about to get hit with a massive shot or a very deadly shot, right? That's more of what Azalea feels like to me. Let's see here, Spike. God. I don't have the setup right now to really show off. Well, there's a little bit of a good shot right there to really show off good foils. But Heavy Hitters is coming out here on February 2nd. Right around my birthday is the pre-release. Release, debut, whatever it's gonna be. I'm obviously not gonna be able to go to. Man, James White got really mad when. What city is it in? I'm not gonna worry too much about it. But I'm not gonna be able to make it there. Obviously, there's too many events too close to me that I can just hit up. Everything here is probably gonna honestly just go on the website for sale if we already have the extras that we need. We try to collect a few play sets to make sure that we have what we need, the wife and I, so we can play. And then I need to sell a lot of products so I can get a website that I can direct people to directly, because TCG Player is god awful for listing Flesh and Blood. I'm sure it's fine for purchasing Flesh and Blood. I mean, I've done it, so I know that it's a fine experience, but Jesus, I absolutely do not like listing Flesh and Blood on TCG Player. I've done it the past few times I said I was going to do it, but any other solution would be great. So this box is pretty average so far. We've seen a few rares, a few foils, some cool cards. You'll have some people that open up packs and they sit there disappointed the whole time, but because I'm an avid collector of the art, the game, the themes, I love opening up every single card. I absolutely like every single card. Every card goes into my lists. When I'm building a deck, every single card goes into my lists. I do the math on it. I figure out if it can even fit in the deck that I'm building at the time. But my spreadsheet considers all cards available to that hero while I'm building it. You'd be surprised at what cards can be somewhat serviceable, and if you get used to playing them, you just become the sucker punch of the day for somebody because they're not paying attention. They're not learning their cards. They're just looking at top decks. As I am going to preach left and right, practice. is the only way you're going to see any kind of real progress in this game. God. Nice. Very well done. Just look at the pretty art on these cards. It's gonna be a while before I get used to using an upside down camera too. Obviously, I'm gonna get a better one when I get a better space or whatever, but this is serviceable. That looks a lot better than I thought it would. I'm thinking about putting these into a Yoji deck that I'm gonna probably bring to a skirmish today. I'm not sure that I want to bring Yoji, but I know the Emperor wasn't doing me super huge favors. So this weekend was the skirmish, season 8 for MLM. And decent turnout. I invited a few newer players, but they seem fairly intimidated by the game, and that's kind of something I've noticed is even when players seem interested, they come into this game, and I'm practicing this game nonstop. I'm learning my pitch stacking, I'm learning my heroes, I'm learning everything. And I just don't look at it from their perspective of they just want to learn, and I don't take it easy on them. But I try not to placate. I try not to belittle their experience, right? I want them to learn, but I don't want them to learn that I'm going to go easy on them in any way, shape, or form. I do have beginner decks. I have this little, it's like a BCW 4X something or whatever. Sponsor me, BCW. I love your stuff. For this reason, is it fits 4 Blitz decks really well, and I just carry them with me wherever I go. So while I don't take it easy on them with my own decks, I do bring low power decks to help teach new players. And that's something I'd encourage everybody to do. If anybody ever wants to learn how to play, just pack around a few Blitz decks you maybe put a few extra things into. I think I just looked at the online beginner decks, like what LSS recommends a deck be for Azalea, Kano. I think I have Katsu and Bolton. Make them understand the game using newer heroes if you want to, but I think those older heroes are good for placing fundamentals. Man, I'm getting every single virulent touch on the planet. Is that all they printed in this? Virulent touch. But I'm trying to grow. Yeah, I had 4 local players interested in it, and I had 1 Magic player that I work with talking about coming to the skirmish. They didn't end up coming, but that's because when they research this game, they just see that it's competitive left and right, and it's really got to be lame to just sign up to get your ass kicked left and right for weeks and months and months and weeks and months and months. But that's how it happened to me. That's not just flesh and blood. That's also Magic the Gathering. I remember being a kid, growing up, heading to FNM every weekend, getting my teeth kicked in, not understanding how to deck build, not understanding synergies. And after a while, it sucks to say it's sink or swim, but every game eventually has a point where you either just need to learn how to play it or deal with getting beat up on and be the meme. Obviously, nobody wants to be the meme, but you just have to put in the time. And I would encourage anybody who even thinks they want to give a competitive game a shot, just give this game the time. Think after we started in Monarch is about the time that I started playing this game. It's not that I didn't want to. I had never heard of the game before then. When I had first heard about Flesh and Blood, it was through Rudy, Alpha Investments. And he wasn't even selling anything. He was just talking about the game, and I was like, I'll go check it out. I went to my local store, picked up a pack. The very first pack I ever opened had a Mask of Momentum in it. And then I saw what the prices were for that card, and that kickstarted my collection. I'm not going to say I've been chasing cold foil gold ever since, but I do enjoy opening packs. The art is also what really spurred my interest. I picked up one of each of the sets that were available at the time, and Monarch had just released. And my God, the first time I laid my eyes on the card Dread Screamer, I should have set something up on the recording software to bring up a website so I could look at it, bring it up for all y'all. But if you haven't looked at, seriously look at that art. It is some of the most brutal shit I've ever seen in my life. from an artist's perspective. There's not many other cards, even in the Magic universe, even in no other card game's really that adult. That's just kind of what I was looking for. I was looking for a way out to offload all my Magic cards and get into a game that more catered to my aesthetics, which is why I complained so much about Bright Lights, is they weren't really catering to me at that point in time. But that's fine. I don't need every set to be exactly what I'm looking for, because they had just given me what I really wanted with Outsiders. So can't complain too much there. 1 second. All right. Dogs were freaking out about something. I don't know what that was. Forgot what I was talking about. Let's get that a little closer. Like right about there. I think I was talking about the local skirmish and how we just had that event. Ooh, I have to chase them around the yard a bit. Oh yeah, we had quite a variety show up at the local skirmish. I showed up at the Emperor because Ira had just become a living legend. And that's who I was practicing. So I just defaulted to flex.deck. Pulled out the Fabled Command and Conquers. Had a lot of fun showing a few players how pretty some of the cards in this game are. Had them kind of checking it out, looking at what they could possibly get. That's good. That's never not good to see. I wish I could see the Marvel one. No, okay, that would be too good. But I played a different version of the Emperor. You know, I wasn't trying to win. I think skirmishes are meant to welcome new players and new ideas. So I brought a version of the Emperor that was using Jubiel, because again, flex.deck. So I was bringing the Jubiel that I won from the RTN. And one of my favorite lines that I did was on my turn, Spoils of War, Jubiel, when they don't block or when they do block, pitch to the Flamescale Furnace because I played Spoils of War, and Overpower. So Jubiel coming in for 11, and the whole goal of the deck was to stab in with these reactions using Jubiel, because they look at that and go, the on hit is just Spell Void, huh? Yeah, I don't give a shit about that. But I would just jab in with that. I think I had Puncture, Stroke of Foresight as well, and Eraser Reflex. And it was just to get you to 8 or 7, so then I could do I wasn't doing the Waning Moon thing, so I needed to get you to 7 or 8. And it was just Emeritus Scolding with an Absorb into Aether, right? Make you attack me, defense react, shoot for 8. In one of the games, I got one of my opponents down to 3, and I just shot him with Emeritus Scolding whenever I could. I just waited to find it. So I thought it was a lot of fun. All of my games were really good. My first match was against the Talishar Riptide. That is so much harder than you think it is. Every single thing you do, they're just going to slam every single trap on you, put a bunch of Blood Rot on you. And then when you're down to 2 or 3, they're attacking with Virulent Touches, trying to give you that Blood Rot. And it's, luckily I know Riptide and I know that plan, so I was putting defense reactions because the deck runs Oasis of Spite, Sink Belows, Fate for Scenes, Absorb into Aether. I was putting all that in the arsenal so Virulent Touch would never trigger. But the other player played it very well. They don't like to draw, thankfully, so we talked it out and flipped a coin to see who won after, because we're getting close to. No, we went to time. We went to time. We weren't getting close to time. We went to time. So, being a very competitive player, he didn't want the win. He didn't want the draw. He wanted a win or loss. And I agreed. That's something we talked about, and we just decided before we took our first game actions to just concede if one of us got too low or feasibly would not be able to win. Both of us had win conditions in our deck still by the end, and we just flipped a coin for it. I think that's totally acceptable to do. If you really are shooting for that playmat. Which again, I think I'm going to do again today. I think I'm going to be bringing Yoji. Nothing special, just the stupid life gain one, and you know. Been watching a few videos around, obviously, since I'm trying to get into the YouTube space. I've been trying to figure out what I really want to do for YouTube. I don't like talking about the market a whole lot, but you should still be aware of it. If you're playing a card game, and it's a collectible card game, you should be aware of the market. I do think... I'm dumb as hell. That goes there. I do think Light Illusionist is going to be catching a lot of attention here in a minute with Prism. She's not quite to LL yet in Blitz, so people are taking advantage of that Luminaris you can still use. I hate that weapon with a passion. That was the third game I played was against Prism, old Prism, using Luminaris. And as the Emperor, if somebody has a Luminaris and they just shoot out 2 or 3 7 attacks a turn, you never really feel like you're there. But at the same time, I was on the cusp of victory. I chose not to win that game. Couldn't tell you why. I just chose not to read some cards. And that's something else that I guess is adding to that challenge of Flesh and Blood and why a lot of new players aren't jumping in. Is we're getting 11 sets in, something like that, maybe even 12. I'm not tracking anymore. After we hit 9 sets in, I'll say 9 sets in. I was so comfortable that the game was going to continue that I just stopped counting because I too had that fear that maybe this game sputters out, whatever. And I'm so glad it hasn't. I want to be playing this game for a very, very long time. Hence me collecting, right? But it's not just for the investable part. This game absolutely saved my love for card games. I had been looking for a new collectible card game, trading card game, whatever. Since a game called Duel Masters. That game only really failed in my eyes because it was for children. And only for children. And I mean children. The cartoon that it accompanied with was not nearly as flexible as Yu-Gi-Oh! It was very clearly for like 6-year-olds. But the game system was incredible. I can't thoroughly remember it right now, but it was kind of the opposite of Pokemon. Whereas with Pokemon, if you're winning, you get prizing, which means you get draw power, and you get more resources because you're already winning. But in Duel Masters, it was the opposite. If you were starting to lose, you would draw up resources as a catch-up mechanic, and that was incredible. Is this only in foil? Is that only in rainbow foil? I feel like I've only ever seen it in rainbow foil, but maybe not. But that's still a nice pickup. That is still a nice pickup. But yeah, if you got attacked and you got beat up, you would draw cards to catch yourself up in Duel Masters. It's not quite the same in Flesh and Blood, obviously. You never draw cards as a reward. It's just you start at your absolute best and you wear yourself down. And I like that. I like that you're getting weaker as the fight goes on. I don't like the build a board state and gain power and up well like that. I just don't think it's how it works. But I mean, it's just different perspectives. There's that Fleetfoot Sandals that I was talking about earlier. If it has one or less base power, it gets go again. You just sucker punch someone with that real hard. I wonder when we're gonna get a pirate, or if like maybe Riptide becomes a pirate or something. We're getting so I'm not like I said. I don't think I've ever said it on the podcast, but I'm not really into the whole pirates, ninjas, and zombies. Just reeks of Hot Topic to me. Not super shade against Hot Topic, but it's just not my style, right? Someday we'll get a Marvel. But Trench of Sunken Treasure, those Fleetfoot Sandals, anything Fleetfoot. That new Reel In is just full of pirates. I guess you could argue that pirates are rangers, pirates are warriors, pirates are ninjas. Pirate itself probably isn't the class, it's just the theme, right? And that's something I kind of want to see them explore. I want to see Legend Story Studios explore more of that. this is all over the place. This is just, like I said, me testing the setup, testing, is this audio level that I've got set for this good for this kind of video. In the future, I will probably be making more focused talking points while opening boosters. But for now, this is just my first foray into it. I love this card. Camera is really not going to show it, but this is the only card other than Intoxicating Shot. I think there might be one other than that has Riptide in the art. And it is not only that, but I just love this card. It goes into my actual Riptide deck, the red one. It's just like block, trap, 0 for 5 that's not preventable, and it beats up Prism. Come on, I haven't even hit the cold foil yet.
A few moments later.
Now that I'm thinking about how far I'm digging into that box, I have not even hit the cold foil yet. And according to my friend in my meta, this is it. So we're going to save that for last. We'll see if he's right. I'm pretty sure he is. I'm pretty sure he is, because he's probably opened a lot more product than me across the time he's been playing Flesh and Blood. It's been a lot long. Damn, that pile's growing. But what else happened at the skirmish? I guess that's kind of the theme, is we're talking about the skirmish post Outsiders, post Bright Lights. Season 8. Prism showed up. I got beat up by Dorinthia. The hard part about being the Emperor with 15 life against a Dorinthia is I lost the decision on who goes first, because I would have gone second 100%. But I went first. And from then on, the pressure was put onto me. It was 9 damage a turn. If I block, it turns into 12, maybe more. And if I take one of those, I cannot take another because I will just die. So Dorinthia, the opponent did the right thing and just kept the pressure on the whole time. Didn't even bring in Nullrune. Was absolutely fearless just because they knew that I couldn't pull off the Kano shenanigans. Just absolutely fearless and just ran me through with a Dawn Blade over and over again. And that's the correct move for anybody who's playing a lot of Blitz. You just got to know when your opponent's at a lower life and they're a little bit more vulnerable, sometimes you just got to put on the gas, put on the pressure, and let them make all the decisions. Because if they're making the decisions, they're making mistakes. I don't even know if I've been holding this properly because the monitor is a little bit over here. So I hope I have been. It's not at too awkward of a position, but I don't think I could do this for... My arms are a little outreached. Like, definitely not super close. A lot of interesting cards came out of this set. The Fletch with Tails I like a lot. I really like to use the red one to stifle defense reaction usages. But I like the blue one for late game scaling, because obviously that's what people are saving for the late game, is their blue 3 blocks. So they can get more use out of those when the game is starting to become a bit more dire. Let's see here. So we had Dorinthia. Bravo was another one where I did my own psyops to myself. My opponent had swung with Anothos after activating Bravo. And in my brain, they had 2 resources left. And I'm like, oh, there's a pummel in their arsenal. And then it never came. So in my head, I go, oh, that must not be a pummel. That must be like a crippling crush or something. Because they couldn't play it. They didn't play it. And they could have pummeled me and killed me as the Emperor with the amount of damage that a pummel could have pushed through. So it can't be a pummel. Nope, I just did my math wrong. And I was punished severely for that, because later in the game, they swung with Anothos again. And then they pummeled me for 10 total damage when I was at 6 life and I had only blocked 4. Right? So that's another lesson to be learned from skirmishes, and that's why you should show up at skirmishes. New players, new ideas, new thoughts, new lines. You can learn about your mistakes and things that you're having problems with. And mine was apparently paying attention to how many resources were used during the action phase, right? So I actually I won my first game with the Riptide. The second game with Bravo, I lost because I don't know how to play the game. And the third game was with Prism. And again, I don't know how to play the game. I don't even know the name of the equipment. It's from Dusk Till Dawn. It's from sorry. It's from Dusk Till Dawn. And it's what is it? It's the one that allows you to make a herald cost 2 less or something. I also didn't know that you could give it ward 1. So when my opponent was at 7 life, I was like, oh, this is just it. They only have 1 arcane barrier left. So I shot for Emeritus Scolding for 8. And they gave it ward 1 and went down to 1 life. And then the attack hit me. And then they proceeded to hit me with another. So even at a skirmish, when you think you're on top of the world and you think you know how to play the game, you still need to be paying attention to every play. So assumptively, if my friend is right about this, you open a pack and you see this. Assumptively, we should see something pretty right after this card. Or was it this card? I very clearly know my packs. Well, I see cold foil and I see weird red. That is a cold foil Flick Knives. Excellent. Yeah, I think my friend is 100% on. If you see a cracked bauble in your pack, you are about to get something super pretty. So that's very nice to end the video on, is catching that Flick Knives. I don't know how much it's worth. I don't care. I'm going to be the only one who talks about this part of the market. There is no way legendaries need to ever be $10 or $15. Every time I see them hit that price, I pick one up. I may only pick the one up, but I pick one up. Right? So I'm going to go ahead and lean back and relax now a little bit.
Yeah.
The amount of cards you open, the amount of money you have to spend to get that one legendary, there's no shot in hell that a legendary should ever be $10 or $15.
Yeah.
It may not see a lot of play right now.
Yeah.
May not see a lot of play next set.
Yeah.
But eventually, it will see play. Things like Flick Knives have already shown to be a little more resilient than most other cards. I don't know how to put this in a better way. Like, just the law of how math works. But then again, supply and demand also has to work against that. And I'm not going to tell you to buy anything, but I'm going to tell you that when I see a legendary for less than $20, I pick one up every single check that I can afford to do so. I don't look for it too often, but if somebody just goes, hey man, did you see the price on this? I'm like, well, that'll get purchased then. I don't need an extra pop this week. Like what the hell? Same with Fableds. I don't have a good reason why you should be buying Fableds. I don't. But if you see a Blooded Urkai for $30, pick it up. That's 90. How many boxes is it? 96 boxes or something like that per Fabled or something. The cold foils are obviously more valuable, but I don't know. I guess the overall theme of this video is going to be whether or not you're playing the game, opening packs, buying singles, trading, whatever you're doing with Flesh and Blood, be there for it. Take the opportunities and pay attention. That's it. Probably should have done this one. Probably should have done this one right here. I'll learn as videos go on. Thanks for watching. This isn't anything super polished or anything, but I appreciate anybody who sees these videos and takes the time to listen and just hang out for a bit. Good luck and have fun.
Yeah.